Shalom, shalom. Brother Hemi here, once more, yet again on a pretty early morning. I really wish I could see more of the sun from where I'm at. Just like a lot of trees around this area. You see how the sun is like, and the clouds and stuff is just kind of behind all that. Anyways, um, today's topic I wanted to talk about is the idea of what's going on, like I guess you could say the brokenness of the world, the dying world, and God. Um, One of the biggest things, the biggest arguments I hear, especially from a lot of just like atheists in general or agnostic people, is they'll use the whole like line of, if God is all knowing and powerful, yada yada, why doesn't he like stop this and that, do something about this other thing and just intervene in general? And I mean, simply, to be honest with you, so they shift blame onto God for all the things that have happened in the world, but they forget that they are the ones that inhabit the world. So is it God messing the whole world up, or is it us, humanity, messing up the world? Now, when I say this, I'm not saying every single person is, you know, inflict yeah, they're inflicting damage purposely and wanting to do this. But when you think about it, I mean, there's a lot of us on this world, on this rock, right? Um And so we have to look introspectively before we try to even do that. Um, we were put here to actually care and like tend for the earth, as we are the ones that pretty much dominate it. I mean, yeah, if you want to get specific, I mean, there's certain areas that are very hard for us to reach, like underneath, like very deep waters. So there is certain mammals and probably certain bacteria that kind of do rule a certain domain, or can withstand certain things that we can't. But in general, we are the ones that are taking care and are scattered around on this earth, and the numbers are in the billions. So yeah, I mean, and if you go back to a certain point where, when God did put people on this earth, um, who's to say that it was even in this dying state? You know, because we know what the Bible says, but then we have other people that will bring in the idea of evolution. Um, you know, the I guess the formation, the dust, the all the particles, gases, and whatnot that made this planet. Um, they'll use that, and I'm sure there is a beginning to that. Um, I just, I don't think I don't think it's observable at all to um say a place is, like, I mean, like I'm saying, I'm only 30 years old, and it's hard for me to think in the billions of years, for that to have happened, even millions. Um, just can't do it. Um, and I won't do it because I think that's being dishonest, and I'm just here for the experience and going based off the history that has been recorded. And I do believe there are things that precede us that know better, or that really tell the story, regardless of what we want to hear or not hear. Um, So yeah, besides the whole history portion, um, yeah, just like that whole idea, like God allowing babies to die and suffer, and or like people to starve, and you know, um, I mean, the world is like, it's like asking the clock, asking time to stop. If you're in the whole space, time, and matter, if you're in the natural, I mean, what do you expect? Time is moving, things are decaying, things are birthing, things are just, they're happening. So I wouldn't say just because he could and he doesn't that he's that, per se. There's a reason why he doesn't. I feel like just hear me out on this. If God intervened on every single behalf, right? How would you know that it was him that moved? You know, how would you? Um, and not only that, but like, how would human life be actually valued if they always had that, like, that cop out? Like, oh yeah, something, just won't let us die. Like, because you don't know what it is, right? God is invisible, God is spirit. God became man, but when he became man, not even his own recognized him. So, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like, we got to be very, very careful of like what we entertain. And me personally, I like, and I promise to you, never in my life have I ever like been like, oh God, you did this, you did that. Why? Never, never did that in my life. Because I realized early on that I am responsible for what I do and don't do. So I think that like the inherent like accountability as a human being has allowed me to not just self project or project outwardly, to the divine, especially if like, like say if I didn't believe in that, like why would I waste my breath and time? I would just live. But it seems otherwise. It seems that, the very thought of like God, this ties to religion, and people just don't like that idea. So they lump it together and they say, I have infographics now, thanks to our brother Wesley Huff, great YouTuber. I think he's a what is he? Is he a scholar? I think he's a Bible scholar. I don't think he's a theologian. Probably could be a theologian, but no, I think he like observes like manuscripts and whatnot. Um, yeah, I got a lot of information on that, and a lot of the information that people believe or what they hear, it's just not true, you know. Um, but like, yeah, I mean, like life here is like, it's like, it's pretty much like a chaff in the air, like ashes. Like we're here and then we're not here. It's like that's how it feels because we're not eternal beings. So, and I don't know if I'd want to be an eternal being in a dying world necessarily either. Um, Even though, like, without the renewal of this world, which is set to happen, this is what the Bible says, but also the renewal, the bodies that we have, like the new bodies that believers have, and the ability to like live forever with God. I think that's quite beautiful, because this dying world, this cold world, hasn't showed me enough to like want to kill myself for it, or like want to like drive myself to the ground. That's what I mean to say, for it. um I mean, there's beautiful things, nature, animals, um cultures. But I believe that God's gonna gather all that together for His kingdom, and people won't have to suffer through death, disease, any sort of ailments, any sort of crying, any sorts of witnessing of death, like, because he's going to be our light, our God, our mighty warrior, our strong tower. And despite what you think right now, it's okay. I believe that certain people, they are in stages in life that right now it could be confusion, it could be anger, it could be however it portrays itself. I will pray for you guys, because that's how it is in life. In life, sometimes we're in areas or in a certain mood or mode, or a time frame of being that we just don't like it here. And I do believe that God will bring it all together, and those that are faithful and those that believe, that's all it really takes. You don't have to all these other extra rules made by man. um I really do believe that God, and like other like churches, certain denominations, I feel like they're doing a disservice. And I feel like their zealousness is trying to keep things from being profane, which is fine, but at the same time, you gotta let you gotta let souls align. Like, God needs to really, like, showcase who he is and not who we say he is, especially if it's wrong. So that to me ties in with the whole idea of, God not intervening. God has intervened many times. He even came down on this earth and he died for us. He had no error, yet he died. He is the standard above all standards. He is the King of kings. Every knee will bow. When he comes back with his iron scepter, he will subdue all the nations. And he'll also get that old serpent's, Satan, as the Bible says, and lock him up. And then eventually he'll be, Satan will be let out, and then God will finish him off, him and all his goons, all his the demons, and anybody that chooses. He doesn't force. He's not free will. This is part of it too. The ability that we had to choose in the first place, whether to disobey God or obey God. And the rule, it was like one rule. It wasn't no, what you guys think, about that. It wasn't the Old Testament 630. It was like 600 plus laws. Like, he want, like, as our image bearer, he wants us to have life in the way that life is certain to be. But when we stray from that, there's death. Simple as that. That's all that is. Anyways, I hope this has made some of you guys think. I know I've kind of been rambling through my words. I just got up. Just, haven't even had anything too stimulating yet. So like, my thoughts are just kind of like, just, all together. But I hope this helps someone. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one.